Alright, hello guys. My name is Reeve. Might know me as Ree or XWI or something else. I don't know. Um, Discord. Okay. So this is going to be starting a episode 2. We're still going to be working on the Kits plugin, but we're just going to be adding a couple things, make it a little nicer. Um, I'm going to show you how to do delays on kits so that, the Discord message is about delays. So that works. Okay, so, um, since the last video I created a Discord server for help if you need it. A couple people joined already, and they've been asking for help, and that's actually where I got that Discord message that I was just talking about. But yeah, so today I'm basically just going to be going over and adding some delays, maybe some other stuff if I think about it. I honestly don't plan any of this out. This entire plugin was just kind of off the top of my head, came up with it as I was going. But anyway, I'm gonna first kind of go through. Oh, yeah. Additionally to delays, I am going to show you how to do config. Oh my god. Okay, I need to stop reading Discord. Okay. Additionally, going to be showing config. So basically, what I am going to do is I am going to use my GitHub config that I've created already. You could use the Spigot or Bucket one, the git config, which I'll show you a little bit of. Private void stf, or I'll just do a constructor on enable. So, like, say for instance, oh, sorry. Okay, so, I had a loss for words here. Oh, so for example, you would do like git config set 5, and then I don't know how that would look, but that's the default one. I used to use it a lot, but once I made my utility for it, I stopped doing that. So let me just pull up my config. Oh wait, there it is. Alright, so this is kind of my config. I'll have the link is in the Discord, or you could just kind of search up my. Actually, no, you can't because this is private. But I'll have a link for it in the description. I'll do that. But this is kind of what I use for the most part in all of my plugins, and it makes my life so much easier. And I update it a lot of the time, except I just don't upload it to GitHub. I usually just update it inside of the plugin and then forget. So, yeah. I'm just gonna add a new IO exception, set language to 7. If you do not know how to set your language level to 7, you could do something like this. You could do add exceptions, and you could do it like that, but that's kind of pointless when you have it at language level 7, because you can just do it like that, which in my opinion is a lot nicer, and there are a lot of different warnings and stuff, so I just ignore them. I don't actually know if this get item stack list works. I've never tried it. I mean, I would assume it works, but who knows. Um, so basically, I'm just gonna make a hash map. We're gonna store all of our player data, and I'm gonna store it as UUID so that when a player rejoins, it doesn't UUID is unique to every player, and when somebody rejoins, their player object is changed. So using a player object to store data like that isn't. Yeah. To be honest, I probably don't have to store date. I could store long, but I'll just do date for this purpose because it's easier to read, I guess. So I'm just gonna do. Actually, I need to store this for every kit. So, alright, I know what I'm gonna do. So basically what I'm gonna do is I'm going to store a list for each kit. Now you could do something different. You could do it like this. You could do another hash map inside of this with the string and then the date, string being the name of the kit, but I'm just gonna keep it simple and leave it like that. So I'm just gonna do the miner kit first. So create a new hash map, and then on load we're gonna want to create our config. So I'm gonna make a variable to store a config file. I'll just name this player data new config, and then this will just be the name of the file, so player data, and then we'll add on .yml to the end, and the first argument is where you want to store the file, so that's going to be different from plugin to plugin. Maybe you want to store it in like a player's file, kind of like how I do it with Prison Core. I could show you a little example right here. So I have all these configs, but then inside of the prison or players folder, I hold the players data instead of just shoving all the player data in this folder with the configs. So the get data folder, that just kind of gives you this folder. So it's just, I don't know how to explain it, but that's how you do it with this. If you were to do it with a separate folder, you would do it something like this. And then like two string, and then /players or something, and then yeah, something like that. I don't remember because I don't do it very often, but yeah, so weird thing about this is though, compared to a the config that Bukkit has, this one you would need to check a version file or make sure that a certain key is set, certain value is set to make sure that it is not a blank file. Otherwise, everything will return blank or 0 or the default values of string and integer and etc. So I'm just going to create a method right here. We'll do private void setup default. So then we'll just go ahead and, so what I normally do is I set a variable called var. So I'm going to do player data.getInt. So if var isn't 1 or whatever, then it'll go ahead and set all of the default values. So I'm just var. So now that I have that set up, I'm just going to go ahead and do the basics kind of stuff. How I'm going to store the data for each of the players or each of the kits. I'm going to store it as an array list with the UUID and the date as a string, and I'll just separate those. So I'll just do kits.minor, and I'll store this as a new array list of strings. I doubt you need the string in there, but that's okay. I don't really care. And then I'll just kind of do the same thing for all of the kits. What was the last kit we did? Night. I didn't even see it there. I know it's there. I just didn't read it. I just remembered when I scrolled that. But I'm gonna shut up. So, yeah. So that looks pretty good. Now we're just gonna start this on our enable. So we want to no, not save config. Set up default. And we want to make sure we do player data.saveconfig. Sorry. So now that we've set up our default, we're just going to load all of our values. So I'm going to go ahead and do a private void load data. Of course, this isn't the most efficient way to do it, but that's okay. So I'm just going to do it for each player for every player that's online and that joins. So I'll show you a little bit of a listener to this. So for player and everybody online, get online players. We're going to go ahead, because there could be players online when the plugin loads, because if in case it's reloaded. A workaround to this, you could just kick all of the players when the plugin loads, but that's not very nice. So for each of them, we're going to go ahead and do minor. Array list of string, minor data. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and update this. So we're going to do minor data dot minor data equals, actually if we do that, then we don't even need to do this. Then do player data dot get string list, and then we'll do kits dot minor. And what does this want? Fine. List is basically the same as array list, but list is an interface, array list is a class. Whatever. So I'm just gonna go ahead and see if, oh, here. I know how we'll do it. Alright, so for each player that's online, fudge. I normally store this by player, so I store separate files for each player. So this isn't exactly how I want to do it. I'm just going to go ahead and load all of the players when this starts up. So for string in minor data, UID equals equals s dot substring. So I'm just gonna store this 0, comma. Oh, shoot. I'm just being retarded right now. I'm sorry. S dot index of. So I'm gonna separate the UUID from the date with a semicolon. And now we're gonna do the date. Date equals UUID s dot substring s dot index of +1. And then we're gonna get a long value. Date dot new date. And then we'll do this right here. Except we need to wrap this as a long. Alright, so now that we have those two, I'm just going to go ahead and add that to the minor list. Minor.put. So I'll put the UUID and the date. That's probably a really inefficient way to do it, but that's how I'm going to do it for the sake of this tutorial, since I don't really care too much about lag and performance and etc. If that's something you want to resolve, then you can experiment with it, figure out what's best. But at the moment, I'm not entirely sure, so I'm just trying to go simple. Alright, so now we want to set the date when somebody uses a kit. So I'm just going to go ahead and make a little method. Actually, I'll just do it up here. So I'll do boolean use kit. So string name. So if the name of the kit. Alright, so if, or I'll do a switch statement. So case night. We're just going to leave this blank for now. Case king, we'll also leave that blank. Break. Case, what's the last? Minor. So then I'm going to check if these have a difference of 24 hours. So I'm just going to do 24 hours because that's generally what kits use, unless you're on like a kit PvP server where it may be 15 minutes for donor ranks or something, but I'm just going to do 24 hours. So let me just, so a date is stored as a long. A long is a really big number. Dates are stored by longs, but not by seconds. They're stored by milliseconds. And there are 1,000 milliseconds in one day, so 24 hours to milliseconds. It's going to be fudge. Alright, so I might be wrong about that, but I'm 90% sure, and I will actually use the Java docs to show usage of the Java docs. Actually, no, this isn't Spigot Java docs. Java docs. There we go. Okay, so check date. Date. Okay. So let me see. You could actually get minutes and get seconds and stuff, but that's going to be off because it also includes year and stuff, and you need to make sure it's messy. I like this method a lot better. If I could actually find it. Okay, too long. Am I looking at the wrong date? Okay, whatever. Let me just look at long. Oops. Date dot to. Oh, get time. Okay. Sorry. Alright, so get time returns the number of milliseconds since January 1st, 1970. That's how date is calculated. So, what does this say? I don't want to read that right now. Okay. Okay, so just had to make sure that was right. Alright, so I'm going to check our miner, and then we're going to get, oh wait, we're going to need the player object or the UUID, one of the two. I'll just get the player object since we already have that, and that's going to be less methods. Dot get time is our get difference. No. Get time minus new date. Dot get time. So we're gonna check if that previous date. We're gonna subtract. Actually, we can just do it like this. So it'll be a positive. So we'll do it like this. Greater than or equal to, what was that number? 86. And then we're just going to return this. And then we don't need this break statement. Alright, so we're just basically going to do the same kind of thing for knight and king. But I still need to update the miner hash map. So when somebody uses a kit, we are going to check here. So if sender or if miner dot if use kit player sender comma miner, if I can spell. So we'll just want to enclose that, and then else, and then we'll send the person. You do not have this kit you do not have this kit yet. I'll just do that for now. And then what we want to do now is we want to update their last time they used their kit. So we're going to want to put their UUID with the current date. So just reformatting that. So that's basically how to do it other than saving data. So saving data we're going to want to do on disable or actually, yeah, that's pretty much the only way you can do it unless you want to save big files a lot of the time. You could set up an autosave with a task, but that's a lot to introduce in one video, so I'm actually not going to do that. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and create a method real quick to get the string list. So we're going to do get minor list, and that's not going to be void, that's going to be an array list of strings. Get minor list. So I'll make a temporary array list that we will return for UUID in minor key set. So for every UUID, we're going to create a string, and we're going to add it to temp. And sorry about that, getting a spam phone call. So I'm going to add UUID.toString plus semicolon, like we said, because we're going to split the variables with semicolons. And then we're going to get their current date. So we're going to do minor.get UUID get time. So we're just going to store it like that, basically. And then we're going to go ahead and do player data dot set. Then we're going to do kits dot. Actually, should probably make a method for this to keep this a lot cleaner, but I don't really care right now. So minor, and then we'll do get minor list, and boom, you're done. Other than saving it, actually. So this should work. Should. I'm gonna test it real quick. Well, I'll just test it on the video, actually. Let me just get the tutorial server up. Build this. Actually, what's the error down here? Oh, I started typing a method and forgot. Alright. Let me just compile, and then we'll test it real quick, and I will test it on the video. I'm trying not to make this too... Okay. Trying not to make this too big of a video. Have to cut that part out. Actually, no, I don't have to. That was just timings and stuff, so it doesn't matter. I think at least. Whatever. Let's see. That was just the console for Mudkip. So start that up. Join the server. Alright, go ahead, and we got kits now, so we can do our kit minor, and there's an error. Null pointer, and this is actually probably a really good idea, a good thing for you to see how I actually debug. And actually, I should return here check if the player is actually on the list before I get. So if minor.contains player.get unique ID, and then otherwise I'll return true. So that was the null pointer exception, and it says right here null pointer exception, and then it shows me right in my code where the issue was. It was at line 127 in the kits file. So I'm 90% sure that just compiled. 90% sure. And reload. Let's do kit minor again. There we go. Yeah, so we shouldn't have the kit yet. And it's probably not going to work until tomorrow. And actually, I could probably change my system time and check it now, but that should theoretically work. Theoretically. If it's not, I probably won't change it, but if it's not, then you'll find out. That should probably be something you should test before. And you could probably test it with like a couple seconds at first. So like do, I don't know, 5,000 for 5 seconds. Make sure you get it right, and then I'm just going to reload real quick to make sure it saves, and then if I do kit miner again, it should say you don't have this kit yet, but it doesn't. That's annoying. Okay, so here's what it looks like at the moment. Alright, there is an issue. Oh. Oh. That's the issue. There we go. I don't know how that happened. Let me just clear my inventory. And I did it again. But I don't care. I'm used to going there to put plugins in. So kit miner. Don't have this kit yet. Okay, so now it properly loads it and saves it. Sorry about that, but that's how coding usually works. You code until it works. 90% of the time. That's just a guess. I have no idea actually, but most of the time you're not going to get it first time error free. I got it in the first and second parts error free for the most part, I think, because I have been coding for quite a while and I've gotten to notice all of those mistakes because I've made them like 100 times before. So I kind of catch them before it happens because they're annoying, really annoying. But that's basically it for this episode. I actually covered a lot more than I thought I would this episode. So I went over saving data. I went over time, or the date object. I went over two more of the Java plugin functions, the onEnable and onDisable. That's when the plugin is enabled and disabled, obviously. And I've kind of introduced you to switch statements. It's kind of like an if-else, 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 or if, and then else if, etc. It's basically like that, but if you don't type break, it'll run the code in this one too. So if I didn't write break here, it would also run the code here, but I'm eventually going to have return in all of these. You can basically go ahead and do the rest of these, probably. That can be a local. So you can do the rest of these, the miners, or the kits. So if you really want to go and finish this plugin, go ahead, be my guest. I am probably going to start a GitHub repo with this code, and I will put that in the description as well as in the Discord. But I think that'll be it for this episode. I've gone on a lot longer than I figured I would. I figured it'd be like 6 minutes because I figured I would do like date maybe and maybe one other thing, but that hasn't been the case at all. So yeah. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe, join the Discord, ask me questions if need be. I will try to get to all the questions if there's actually an overflow of questions, which I doubt, but I'll say that anyway in case this video somehow blows up or something, which is very unlikely, but it could happen. Yeah, sorry. Don't want to keep you waiting. Peace out. I will see you next episode on my channel. I really need to work on this outro. Holy shit. But yeah, bye.